Hello, my name is Miss Allen, a kindergarten teacher here at Ridgewood Elementary School. Today, I'm just making a short video to explain to you what your child will learn in reading, math, science, and social studies throughout their kindergarten year. All right, in reading, we focus on letter sounds, letter names, and letter shapes, uppercase and lowercase. In our county, we use a program called Letterland, which assigns a character to each letter of the alphabet so that the children can truly understand their sounds and names and shapes. We then blend those sounds together that we just learned to form simple words that we can decode or we can sound out and blend together. Once we begin learning those skills and we practice those sight words, we can blend and string those words together to form sentences and read sentences, which is so exciting to watch. You just heard me say sight word. So a sight word is simply a word that we know by sight, by looking at it. These are words that don't always follow the rules when it comes to our English language. So words that can't necessarily be sounded out with our letterland characters, the way that your child just learned. For example, like funny, come, would, and said. So if our child or your child were to sound out the word funny, they wouldn't understand it when they saw it in a story. So again, we practice those so that we know them by sight, just by looking at them. We learn about print concepts, so understanding where the title is or what the title of a book is, that every book has an author and an illustrator. It has a front, a back, and it also has a spine. We learn about story elements as well. So this is a huge comprehension piece. So as a child listens to a story being read to them, they can point out what the main idea is, the setting, the key details to form that main idea. They can retell the story in the right order. They understand the problem and the solution and the characters in the story. We also learn about different types of texts. So we understand that just because both of these books are about fish doesn't mean that they are both either fiction or nonfiction. So we understand that this one, even based on the picture, we understand that's going to be a fiction text. It's going to be make-believe. And this story is going to be nonfiction. It's filled with facts and it's filled with real-life things where the only purpose was the author for us to learn and understand more about the ocean. Okay, so we've talked about reading sight words and blending sounds together to form words. But what about writing? So then once we understand our letter sounds and letter shapes, we can then begin writing them down and forming words. So we start with really simple sentences that are only made up of decodable words your child can successfully sound out and blend together. And also those sight words. So we practice them so we can read and write them. So from there, we can begin composing opinion pieces. So what we think, narrative, something that's happened to us, and informative pieces of writing. And then also we do two different types of learning. So either we're in a whole group setting where we're all together on the carpet learning or listening to a story, or we're doing small groups. So we have all kinds of different stations that we do, whether it's with a teacher, so it's a guided style of learning, independent practice, so where they're doing a certain skill on their own and practicing that so they can build mastery. They might be listening to a story. And we also integrate technology into all of our stations. All right, let's move into math. So with counting, which is a big thing we start with, when we count, we want to make sure that we assign a number to each of the objects that we're counting. So instead of just counting and not even paying attention to what we're looking at, we really assign a number to each object. Okay? We compare numbers, so we can look at two numbers. For example, this one's 5 and this one's 3, and understanding that 5 is larger and that 3 is smaller. We count to 100 almost every day in kindergarten together, but we really only write the names of numbers 0 through 20. We work with addition and subtraction within 10. And then we also build a foundation for place value, so understanding the value of each number, so the quantity of each number. All right, so We describe and compare measurable attributes. So when I say measurable attributes, I just mean the attribute just being what they measure with. So for example, I can measure the end of this box with an attribute that is the Unifix cube. So that is my attribute. Or we can measure with paper clips. And it's truly the understanding that the paper clips are larger, so there might be less of those to measure the same thing, and that the Unifix cubes are smaller, so there are going to be more to measure the end of my box. Okay? We also talk about shapes, 2D and 3D shapes. And we also create those shapes and truly understand their characteristics as we compose them. Science, my favorite. So with science, a big thing we talk about are forces of motion. So that push and pull motion, forces of motion, whether it be push or pull, and gravity. We talk about the 5 senses. We talk about weather almost every single day. And then we also end our unit at the end of the school year with characteristics of animals, whether it be, well, animals and non-living things. And last but not least is social studies. So in social studies, we talk about the history. So history in this unit for kindergarten is going to be understanding change over time, whether that's something outside like weather, or whether it's a personal thing like a change in your life or a person's life. So different experiences. We talk about geography. So we talk about their surroundings and the human interaction with the environment. So we'll talk about positional words like above, under, side, beside, behind, things like that. We'll talk about economics and financial literacy. So just the basic concept of wants and needs and how we get those wants and needs met and the difference between wants and needs. And we also understand the roles of a citizen. Last but not least, we talk about the differences, the similarities and differences in individuals and how important those things are. Okay? And last but not least, the last thing I'm going to have you do is I want you to grab your camera, and I just want you to take a picture of the side of my screen. So it just says my big list of kindergarten goals. These are things we want your child, and we work so hard for them to master by the end of kindergarten so that they can go into the next grade level feeling very successful. And we are so excited for this coming school year, and we look forward to a wonderful year together, learning new and exciting things. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.